3 years ago, I married Claire Summers, the undisputed golden girl of Chicago. She had one strange obsession, her vintage guitar. No one was ever allowed to touch it. That pre-war Martin, the one she called Starlight, was more precious to her than anything. Even I, her husband, was only ever allowed to admire it from a distance until today. When I walked into her music room, I saw the new guitar tech she'd hired. His hands were all over it, caressing the strings of the Starlight. And Claire was right there watching him, with a soft, gentle expression I hadn't seen on her face in years. Care to explain this? I asked, my voice dangerously calm as I held up my phone with the picture displayed. If it hadn't been for a random tip from one of my corporate security guys, I never would have known. For 3 years, that music room had been Claire's sacred space, strictly off limits to anyone. Touching her guitar was unthinkable. And yet here was this new guy, Leo Vance, not only touching it, but posting a picture on his Instagram feed with the caption, "Finally got my hands on the legendary Starlight. Worth the wait." Leo froze at my directness, then forced on a smile. "Mr. Sterling," the guitar's intonation was a bit off. "Mrs. Sterling asked me to come in and make some adjustments." He gestured toward a small box. "To put on a fresh set of strings." My brow furrowed. "She asked you to change the strings?" My first instinct was disbelief. What could possibly be so urgent that she couldn't do it herself? And what kind of relationship did they have that she would grant an outsider access to her most prized possession? But the empty music room and Leo's confident smirk forced me to accept the reality. He stepped closer, his tone dripping with false sincerity. "You can ask for yourself if you don't believe me." Those simple words were laced with triumph. In that moment, it felt like a physical blow to my chest. A guitar tech, barely in our home for a month, could waltz into a place that had been forbidden to all others. Every flicker of expression on Leo's face was a boasted declaration that he was no different from the man of the house. And me, I was just a utility, a functional part of her life, a necessary inconvenience she was forced to endure. I stood there in silence for a long while, exhaustion washing over me. Maybe it was time to reevaluate this marriage. If she was this unhappy, perhaps the kindest thing I could do was let her go. "Are you not aware this is your employer's private music room?" I pressed. "Answer me." My mind screamed at me to stay calm, that this nobody wasn't worth the anger. But my face had already hardened, my gaze sharp enough to pin him to the wall. Leo's smile faltered. Embarrassment flashed across his face before he started apologizing profusely. "I'm sorry, sir. It was an oversight. Please forgive me. I promise I won't post any more photos without Mrs. Sterling's permission." At those words, my fingers trembled, an involuntary reaction. More photos? He was already planning a next time. Leo bowed his head, saying nothing more, but the air was thick with his defiance. A cold smile touched my lips. I pushed the glass of water on the table toward him. "We don't reuse disposable cups. Throw it out." I paused for effect. "Then you can leave, of course," he muttered. "Don't misunderstand." My smile widened. "I mean, you're fired. You'll receive a standard severance package." Leo's head snapped up, his face shifting from red to white, twisting in disbelief. "Mr. Sterling, what did I do that was so wrong?" I stared at him without blinking. His jaw tightened. He gave a sharp, angry nod, practically gritting his teeth. "Fine, Mr. Sterling." His footsteps were heavy as he stomped toward the door, each step deliberate, an act of protest. But just as he reached it, Claire pushed the door open from the other side, bumping the small table by the entrance and sending a vase of flowers crashing to the floor. Leo let out a cry as the vase shattered. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Sterling. I didn't mean to." His face flushed as he quickly knelt to pick up the broken shards. "It's fine, Leo. It was my fault. I was in a hurry," Claire said, her voice warm. She didn't seem upset at all. In fact, she started to crouch down to help him. "Claire," I said sharply, stopping her in her tracks. "Let the guitar tech handle that. I wouldn't want you to cut your hands." She froze, then slowly straightened, her gaze finally meeting mine. "What are you doing in the music room?" "Why?" she asked. I didn't answer. A smile played on her lips as she came to sit beside me. "What's got you so worked up?" I looked her straight in the eye. "You let the new tech touch your guitar. You let him change the strings." Claire's smile stiffened. "A string broke just now. I asked him to take care of it. You know how it is, it just happens so fast." I wasn't thinking. My expression was like ice. "He crossed the line. I don't want it to happen again." "Claire, nodded, smiling again as she hooked her arm through mine, leaning against me like a delicate bird. Whatever you say, I'll be more careful from now on. It won't happen again. I stood abruptly, leaving her leaning on empty air. There's no need. You'll have to find someone else. He's been fired. The smile vanished instantly from Claire's face. She stared at me, wide-eyed. You what? Do you have any idea how hard he worked to get this job? She demanded. He has a sick mother to take care of. He's been struggling all alone in this city, and he finally had a stable income, and you just cut him off. For the first time in our marriage, Claire was fighting with me over an outsider. For a dizzying moment, I felt like the villain in some melodrama, the cruel tycoon tearing two lovers apart. Are you finished? I asked coldly. Your reaction is disproportionate. My words made her flinch. She looked away. I just feel it's unfair to him. And can you, for a moment, feel what it's like for me? I shot back with a humorless laugh, speaking each word with precision. You're my wife. Even if this marriage is just a merger of two powerful families, you're still my wife. For 3 years, you have never let another man get that close to your guitar, let alone break your one sacred rule. I thought that was a privilege reserved for me. Now, apparently, there's a second person. Claire's expression was complicated. She stared at me for a long moment, silent. Finally, she whispered, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking. You have to believe me, Will. I love you. I stepped toward her, my fingers gently tracing the line of her jaw before tilting her chin up. I don't want any thorns between us, Claire. No matter how insignificant they may seem, I don't enjoy being the bad guy. But if I'm pushed, I'll play the part. She hesitated, then her lips curved into a dazzling smile. Okay, I understand, perhaps. It was her docile, agreeable nature, but the tension in my brow eased slightly. If Summers Jewels has a good year, Sterling Enterprises might consider increasing our investment. Her eyes darted away, her nod distracted, seeing that my gaze hardened. I said nothing more. I could only hope she'd come to her senses and stop making these mistakes, but I never expected her next stunt a backdoor promotion that mocked my words completely. If I hadn't come home unexpectedly that day, I might never have found out. Leo Vance, dressed in a sharp, well-fitted suit, was holding the car door open for Claire. And when he got into the driver's seat, I noticed he was wearing my sunglasses. I stood there watching the car pull away, silent for a long, long time. If there had been a mirror nearby, I'm sure it would have reflected a face ugly with rage. Back at the office, I immediately had my assistant look into it. Because of our investment, Sterling Enterprises and Summers Jewels were closely linked. It was easy to dig up information. A few hours later, my assistant handed me a photo on a tablet. The moment I saw it, a chill ran through me. In the black Mercedes AGA car I'd never once been a passenger in sat someone I'd never seen before. A few days ago, Mrs. Sterling had fired her regular driver and hired Leo Vance in his place. My assistant reported she'd even told him he could use the car whenever he wanted, go wherever he liked. He scrolled to another screen. Leo had even posted on his Instagram, thanking Mrs. Sterling for giving him a new life. Go wherever he liked. A white-hot rage flared inside me. That Mercedes was my anniversary gift to her just last year. She had always been so protective of it, taking it in for detailing every single month. Her previous driver had treated it with kid gloves. And now, she was handing the keys to a subordinate, granting him unrestricted use. What the hell was Claire thinking? That car, once a cherished gift she had treasured, became meaningless the moment she gave it to Leo. This wasn't just a provocation. This was her forgetting her promise to me, treating my words as though they meant nothing. This time it was the car. What would it be next time? As my thoughts churned, Leo's Instagram updated again. A new post, time to pick up the boss. Got her favorite roses. Within seconds, the post was flooded with likes and comments praising him for being so thoughtful. The image was like a razor-sharp blade twisting in my gut. Claire was my wife. I would help her correct her mistakes. But Leo Vance? Who the hell was he? These special privileges he was so proud of, the ones he flaunted to the world, they meant nothing in my presence. Notify Summers Jewels, I told my assistant, my voice devoid of emotion, as though I were discussing the weather. Effective. Immediately, in support of our new corporate green initiative, all employees, including senior management, are required to use public transportation for their commute. Any violation will have consequences. I let the order hang in the air. That starts now. If Leo wanted to show off his special privileges, I was going to show him what real privilege looked like. At first, the employees at Summers Jewels thought it was a joke, but they quickly realized that all their top executives were silently complying. No one dared question the directive. The news of the policy soon hit the business blogs, and while people were baffled, they were also deeply impressed by the sheer influence of Sterling Enterprises. With the ban on private cars for commuting, Claire had no choice but to take back the Mercedes. Leo Vance's new job as her personal driver became a laughingstock. That very afternoon, he was seen standing outside the Summers Jewels building, beaming, only to be escorted off the property by security. I heard he deleted his entire Instagram feed immediately after and wasn't seen for days. When the news reached me, I just smiled. No surprise. In this city, the name Sterling opened every door. The man Claire Summers married was a Sterling, William Sterling. What the hell are you doing? Claire's voice snapped like a whip as she slammed the door to my office open, her face a mask of cold fury. I continued reviewing the document in my hands, not even bothering to look up. What are you referring to? Her eyes narrowed, her brow furrowed with anger. You know what I'm talking about. I slowly raised my head, meeting her icy glare. I'm establishing boundaries. That's all. Her expression faltered, then her voice rose. He's just a regular employee. What threat could he possibly be to you? God, Will, can you be any more petty? Yes, he's just a regular employee, I said, rising from my chair. I walked toward her, gaze locked on hers as I spoke, enunciating each word. And if he just did his job, I wouldn't care. But someone keeps trying to help him, driven by her pathetic and foolish sense of pity. Claire's body tensed, though she tried to maintain composure. I don't know what you're talking about, but the rapid rise and fall of her chest betrayed her. I let out a soft, dismissive laugh. He's been to see you again, hasn't he? Let me guess, he played the victim. Painted himself as a wounded little puppy. Tragic backstory, miserable life. And the CEO of Summers Jewels couldn't control her maternal instincts, so she came here demanding justice for him. Am I right? I ignored her darkening expression, spelling out every truth she didn't want to hear. Finally, her eyes welled with tears. With a cry of frustration, she swept the glass off my desk, shattering it across the floor before storming out. I rubbed the bridge of my nose, surveying the mess. I let out a long, slow breath. Ever since Leo Vance showed up, she hadn't been herself. All because he happened to look a little like that old boyfriend of hers who'd passed away. Our relationship had turned to ice. She didn't even invite me to the year's biggest jewelry showcase. But as a primary investor, I had a right to know how it went. So when the showcase began, I had my assistant pull up the live stream. The moment a familiar figure appeared on the screen, my entire body went rigid. My heart seemed to stop. Claire was on the central stage, looking absolutely magnificent. But the man standing beside her, confidently holding the centerpiece exhibit, was Leo Vance. A reporter's voice cut through. Miss Summers, a spectacular event. Why isn't Mr. Sterling here with you tonight? Claire smiled for the cameras. Will is incredibly busy. He couldn't make it this time. The live chat on the screen exploded. They looked so good together. What a power couple. I'm so jealous of that guy standing right next to Claire Summers. My assistant's face paled. He moved to shut down the feed, but I waved him off. Keep it on. Staring at her radiant figure on the screen, a sense of detachment washed over me. I murmured to myself, if this is your choice, Claire, then I respect it. The next morning, while the buzz from the showcase was still fresh, a new headline dominated the feeds. William Sterling, heir to Sterling Enterprises, is seeking a new executive assistant. Exceptional candidates will be offered residence at the Sterling estate. Less than half an hour after the announcement went live, my assistant called, panic-lacing his voice. Mr. Sterling, you have a problem. Mrs. Sterling just stormed into your office. She's not stable. In the background, I could hear a hysterical voice screaming, William Sterling, if you don't give me an explanation today, I will smash up your whole damn office. Everyone in the company knew Claire Summers, the wife of the Sterling heir, had a temper. When I walked into my office, I glanced passively at the shards of a porcelain vase scattered across the floor. That was expensive. Did you really have to smash it? William Sterling, she practically roared, her eyes blazing with fury. Have you no shame? My showcase just ended and you immediately launched this contest for a new assistant. Are you doing this just to spite me? My face remained a blank mask. I found a clean corner of my sofa and sat down. Hiring an assistant is my prerogative. Are you going to interfere with that too? Your prerogative. Claire trembled with rage. Do you even see me as your wife anymore? You're holding a public beauty pageant in your office. Do you have any idea what people will say about me? How they'll talk? A cold smile touched my lips. So you do remember that you're my wife. At the showcase, you and Leo seemed to be having a wonderful time laughing it up for the cameras, her face flushed with anger. I wouldn't have had to go to such lengths if you hadn't been systematically trying to destroy him. He's a pariah at the company now, and it's all your fault. I gave him a job as a guitar tech, you fired him. I let him drive my car, you banned everyone from driving. She gritted her teeth, her words dripping with resentment. How much further are you going to push him? I leaned back, disbelief flickering in my eyes as I looked at her. For a moment, I didn't recognize the woman standing before me. Was this the elegant, refined Claire I had married? Or had everything been thrown into chaos the day Leo arrived? Fine, I said. You keep defending him. You're so concerned about Leo. If that's what you want, you can have him. I took a deep breath, my expression hardening into calm resolve. Go find him. As of now, you're free. Claire froze, the word she was about to speak dying on her lips. What did you say? You didn't understand? I repeated. I'll say it again. From this moment on, Claire Summers, you are no longer William Sterling. You bastard. She cut me off with a choked cry, grabbing the back of the sofa for support. Her eyes turned redder by the second. How could you say something so cruel? I didn't answer. I just turned and looked out the window. Suddenly, I felt the rush of her perfume as a pair of slender arms wrapped tightly around me from behind. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice Claire panicked, her eyes wide with fear. I was wrong. I won't fight with you over him anymore. I promise. Forgive me. I'll make you feel secure again. Just trust me. I sighed, sadness heavy in my chest. It was a compromise pulled out of her by panic, and I wondered how long could something like that even last. My assistant later told me Leo had gone to Claire more than once, pouring out his hardships in tears. But each time, Claire just shook her head and walked away in silence. If his plan had been to play on her sympathy, it hadn't worked. And with his arrogant personality, he'd probably collected plenty of enemies along the way. His future looked bleak, but when Claire came home from work, her silence carried something else: resentment. I could see it in her distant eyes during moments that should have been ours alone. I knew it would only take one spark to ignite the anger smoldering inside her. That spark came when we were on our way to her parents' house for dinner. As we were leaving my office building, Leo suddenly stumbled into view. He staggered, coughed, and collapsed on the pavement, blood spraying from his mouth. Claire screamed and ran to him, her face etched with panic. Leo, what's wrong? I don't know, he rasped, eyes wide with pain. I just ate the catered lunch from the office. Then I started feeling sick. My stomach sank. A bad feeling hit me instantly. Sure enough, Claire's head snapped toward me. Her voice shook with rage as she spat out, "Look what you've done." I frowned, about to defend myself, but she wasn't listening anymore. She was already helping Leo into an ambulance. Our family dinner never happened. It wasn't until midnight that Claire returned home, exhausted. The moment she stepped inside, she erupted. "Did you give the order to feed him spoiled food?" she screamed. "How can you be so vicious? Do you even have any humanity?" I met her eyes coolly. "I would never order something like that. You're still denying it? Who else has the power to do something like this?" Her face was pale, her voice sharp with fury. "He ate contaminated food, Will. It caused acute poisoning. They had to pump his stomach 3 times at the hospital. He almost died. Do you understand? He almost died." She stepped closer, her voice rising higher. "You're the privileged heir who can't stand being slighted. But Leo is still a human being. Why should he be your punching bag?" Her words cut deep. I looked at her, my voice quiet. "In your eyes, is that really the kind of man I am?" The pain twisted in my chest. The love I had been so proud of, the bond I thought was unique, was it all just my own wishful thinking? Claire let out a bitter laugh. "What else am I supposed to think?" Without another word, she stormed into our bedroom, leaving me alone in the living room. I sank onto the sofa, the weight of it all pressing down on me. How had our lives become so twisted, so absurd? From then on, she ignored me completely. Cold, distant. The day Leo was discharged, Claire drove him home herself. She even brought him homemade soup, fussing over him with a warmth she no longer showed me. But it didn't stop there. She let him move into the music room, putting him in charge of everything there. She began posting on social media again, and in every photo there, he was. That black Mercedes AMG, once my gift, was now his personal car. Every morning, its roar echoed across the corporate campus like a taunt. I stayed silent. So she escalated. She went shopping with him, bought him new clothes, stayed out all night for days at a time. On his Instagram, he stopped calling her Miss Summers and simply called her Claire, and she didn't stop him. She flaunted it all, ignoring the wildfire of rumors online. The breaking point came when Leo showed up at our front door holding a diamond necklace he claimed was a gift for Claire. I lost control. I hit him. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. He wiped it away, smirking triumphantly. I know you're pissed, Mr. Sterling. Go on, hit me again. I won't even fight back. I raised my fist, but Claire's furious voice cut through me like ice. If you touch him again, I swear to God I'll call the police. The next second, she stepped in front of him, shielding him with her own body. Then she helped him away. I will never forget the look she gave me before leaving, cold, full of disgust, my fists clenched, my teeth ground together. Rage boiled inside me, then suddenly drained away. My hands fell limp. If this was her choice, I would respect it. But when she put Leo in charge of our latest joint venture, I couldn't stay silent. This wasn't just about her company anymore. Sterling Enterprises was involved. My family's legacy was at stake. I pushed open the door to Claire's music room and instantly regretted it. The familiar space had changed. A desk now sat beside her vintage guitar, and Leo was at it, engrossed in documents. When I entered, he barely glanced up, gave me a bored look, and went back to work. Claire's faint smile disappeared, replaced by a mask of indifference. Did you need something? I didn't waste time. You put him in charge of the new venture. She tilted her head slightly. Is there a problem? You're the investor. All you need to worry about is the result. The process is none of your concern. My hand, which I'd started to raise, froze midair. Do you have any idea what the consequences will be if this fails? Impatience flashed across her face. She stood quickly and brushed past me. If something goes wrong, I'll take full responsibility. Then, as if nothing had happened, her tone lightened. Leo, there's a new cafe nearby. Let's go. Check it out. My treat. They walked out together, side by side, leaving me standing there as if I were invisible. You'll take responsibility? I muttered bitterly. No, my family's company would not be risked on an outsider. 3 days later, it was her grandfather's 80th birthday. Her mother personally called me, insisting I attend. I had no desire to go, but I couldn't refuse her. She was hoping the celebration might help mend things between Claire and me. What she didn't know was there was nothing left to mend. That evening, I tried calling Claire so we could arrive together. 3 calls, all busy. With a self-deprecating laugh, I drove to the Summers estate alone. The Summers were giants in the jewelry world, and the estate was overflowing with high society. Everyone knew the daytime reception was for general guests, but the evening banquet was for the inner circle. As I walked in, her mother greeted me warmly, immediately calling for Claire to join me. I waved her off, planning to stay only briefly. But seeing the disappointment in her mother's eyes, I relented and stayed. At tea dinner, Mr. Summers was in high spirits. I sat to the side, barely touching my food. Then Claire's grandfather raised his glass. In all my 80 years, nothing has made me prouder than my granddaughter Claire. So successful at such a young age, it truly makes an old man happy. Claire's eyes flickered toward me for a split second before she smiled. Grandpa, I have more good news. Our company has a new project in the works. If it succeeds, the Summers name will be known across the country. Her grandfather's face lit up with pride. Then her phone buzzed. That must be them, Claire said confidently, answering with a smile, calling to tell me the project was a success. But a moment later, her smile froze. Her body went rigid. What did you say? She whispered into the phone. What about the other firms? That's impossible. When she hung up, all the strength drained out of her. She swayed and began to collapse. Claire, her parents cried out as they rushed to her side. Claire's parents rushed forward just in time to catch her before she hit the ground. Claire. Her grandfather's joyful expression shattered. What happened? Claire let out a hollow, broken laugh, her voice trembling. The project. It's dead. I put almost all of the company's capital into it. It's all gone. We can't recover." Her mother's brow furrowed in disbelief. How could this happen so suddenly? Claire's lips curved into a bitter smile. If that was all, maybe we could endure it. But every one of our investors pulled out. They all shifted their capital to our biggest competitor. Every single one. Her father's breath caught, his face paling as the horror dawned on him. Slowly, his gaze turned to me. In Chicago, there was only one family with the power to sway every major investor, the Sterlings. Claire's face turned ghostly white. She stared at me, her eyes desperate, pleading. "Will, tell me your family didn't pull out. Tell me you didn't. Tell me this is just some cruel joke." The room was silent, every eye fixed on me. I smiled faintly and finished the last sip of wine in my glass. "Oh, Sterling Enterprises pulled out, all right. That was my decision." I let the words hang heavy in the air, then added quietly, "But you were wrong about one thing. The real joke was our marriage." Gasps rippled through the room. The whispers rose like a storm. Claire's mother lurched to her feet, her face stricken with disbelief. "What?" I kept my expression calm, almost detached. "Ask your daughter what she's been doing. She can explain it better than I can." Shaking, her mother grabbed Claire by the shoulders, her voice breaking. "You've been so secretive with the company. Are you still not going to tell us?" Claire's lips trembled, her whole body frozen. "Nothing happened," she whispered weakly. "There's nothing going on between us." Her mother's hand struck her across the face with a sharp crack. "If nothing happened, would the Sterlings abandon us? Don't you see? Without them, we are finished." Claire just stood there, dazed, as though the world had gone silent around her. I ignored the family chaos, rising to my feet and offering her grandfather a polite bow. "My apologies for spoiling such a special occasion. I'll pay my respects another time." Without looking back, I walked out of the Summers estate. I hadn't made it far when frantic footsteps followed. I turned to see Claire, breathless, tears streaming down her face. "There's nothing between me and him," she cried. "I swear, you misunderstood everything." "Misunderstood?" I almost laughed. "Was it a misunderstanding when you let him drive your car and live in your music room? Was it a misunderstanding when you posed for pictures with him while treating me like I didn't exist? You hate being touched, you can't even stand men near you. So answer me, Claire. Was all of that just one big misunderstanding?" Her voice broke as she reached for my hand, desperate. "Just listen to me. We can talk this out. But you can't pull your investment, it'll destroy my family." I looked at her for a long moment, then a cold, cynical smile tugged at my lips. "So now you're afraid? Where was this fear before?" She opened her mouth to say more, but I slammed my car door shut, the sound making her flinch. The engine roared, spitting up dust as I drove off. In the mirror, I saw her collapse onto the pavement, her body racked with sobs. She was no longer the girl whose tears once compelled me to protect her. The next morning, Claire came to my office. Her eyes were swollen, her face drawn with exhaustion. She wrung her hands nervously, but when she saw me, a flicker of hope lit her face. She stood quickly. "Will, enough." I cut her off, my tone flat, final. "If you're here to beg for another chance, save your breath. I gave you chances. You threw them away. We're done." The color drained from her face. She staggered back as if I'd physically struck her. "Don't leave me, please. I know I was wrong. I'm so sorry." I let out a cold laugh and opened the office door. "Miss Summers, I have work to do. Please leave." She trembled violently, her emotions twisting across her face. Then her eyes rolled back, and she fainted. When she woke in the hospital, the first name she cried out was mine. Her mother, sitting at her bedside, could only shake her head sadly. "Wake up, honey. He doesn't want you anymore." "No," Claire whispered frantically. "He loves me. He would never leave me. I have to find him, I have to explain." She struggled to get out of bed, panic in her every movement. Her mother stopped her by pressing a folder into her hands. Claire froze, her eyes scanning the first page. Her face turned to ash. At the top, 5 stark black words cut like a blade. "Petition for dissolution of marriage. If you don't sign," her mother said softly, "he'll take you to court for adultery. Just sign it, sweetheart." But Claire refused. Instead, she ran out of the hospital to find me. When my assistant blocked her entry, she threatened to jump from the roof. After that, she followed me everywhere trying to serve me tea, cook my meals, wash my clothes. Each time I told her coldly to leave. Each time she only smiled sadly and shook her head. As long as there's even the slightest chance you'll forgive me, I won't give up. Her presence wore me down. Annoyance replaced pity. She'd wait outside, silent, no longer crying, no longer pleading. Once, I locked her out of the penthouse for an entire night. She simply curled up in the hallway and waited until morning. She thought love could erase betrayal, that persistence could undo the past. But some bridges, once burned, are gone forever. In the end, Claire signed the divorce papers. Perhaps she finally understood. A month later, I returned to our old home to collect the last of my things. At the door, the last person I wanted to see, appeared Leo Vance. He looked haggard, his face twisted with bitterness, muttering "Why?" over and over. Claire stood nearby, just as broken, her heavy makeup unable to hide the shadows under her eyes. When they saw me, Leo's face contorted with rage. "Are you happy now?" he snarled, lunging. Predictably, he ended up on the ground, cursing me through a split lip. Claire's face was unreadable. She simply handed me the signed agreement. My eyes fell on her signature, and a sudden wave of release washed over me. 3 years of tangled love and resentment ended in that single moment. We locked eyes. There was nothing left to say. As I turned to leave, her voice broke the silence. "Take care of yourself, Will." I glanced back slightly, a genuine smile touching my lips for the first time in years. "You too, Claire." That afternoon, word spread, Leo Vance had been fired. The evidence of his embezzlement was undeniable, millions siphoned off during his tenure. If the project hadn't collapsed, no one might have discovered it. His reputation was destroyed. He was arrested and blacklisted. Even if he walked free someday, no company would ever hire him. As for Claire, her company's collapse dragged the Summers family into ruin. The once untouchable CEO of Summers Jewels became just another entrepreneur, scrambling for partners, burning herself out chasing survival. Later, I heard she went south chasing opportunities only to fall victim to an investment scam. She barely made it back. From the moment she signed those papers, our paths split for good. Meanwhile, a new proposal landed on my desk, a project destined to push Sterling Enterprises to even greater heights. I sipped my tea, the delicate aroma lingering. Outside my window, the rising sun painted the sky in fiery strokes of red and gold. For the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not a mask, not a bitter smirk, but a wide, honest smile. The world was vast, the future bright. My story with Claire had ended. My life was just beginning. It was time to seek my own happiness.